Joseph Stalin, leader of the Soviet Union. Joseph Stalin was born on December 18, 1878 in Georgia in the Russian Empire to a poor family. Joseph Stalin's mother was a Russian Orthodox Christian and wanted him to become a priest. In 1895, she sent him to study in Tbilisi, the Georgian capital. However, he started reading the writings of Karl Marx and Vladimir Lenin after joining a secret organization which wanted Georgian independence from Russia. In 1901, he joined the Social Democratic Labour Party and organized protest and strike for the movement against Russian Empire. A year later, he was arrested for preparing a strike and sent to prison, and Stalin would join the Bolshevik Party. He took the attention of the party leader Vladimir Lenin and his ability to organize meetings and strikes, as well as his techniques to raise money for the party by kidnapping and robbery. In 1907, he sold 250,000 rubles and a bank robbery into Tbilisi to fund the movement. He adopted the name Stalin, which means steel in Russian, or man of steel. By October, the revolution was over, and the Communist Party was in control. Then came the civil war after that, with the victory of the Communist Party. In 1922, Stalin was appointed General Secretary of the Communist Party, and he manipulated his rule so that he was in powerful position. Vladimir Lenin died in 1924, and it was assumed that Leon Trotsky would be the next leader, but Stalin would make sure this would not happen. He had Trotsky and other leaders to the future leadership removed from the Central Committee and exiled. In the late 1920s, Stalin would aim to turn the Soviet Union into a modernized country, and he wanted it to done quickly. He developed 3 5-year plans between 1928 and 1938. Oil, steel, and electricity production massively increased, but workers who could not achieve their ambitious targets for production were executed or sent to Siberia. As Stalin created a cult of personality through culture, he became more paranoid. Everyone had to praise him, and his pictures was everywhere, from schools to factories. In 1934, Stalin had party member Sergei Kirov killed because of the threat to his power. Throughout the 30s, Stalin killed a lot of the Communist Party members, and 80 of the 100 generals were executed in the Red Army. 20 million citizens in the Soviet Union were sent to Siberia or executed. In 1931, Stalin made a deal with Adolf Hitler and Nazi Germany. When Germany invaded the Soviet Union in 1941, the Red Army was not prepared and suffered massive losses, and had not helped that Stalin killed a lot of the talented officers during the 30s. Stalin refused to leave Moscow as the German forces moved to the east. In 1942, the Red Army at Stalingrad were told not to give the city to German forces and to defend it to the last man, as the city bore Stalin's name. This was the turning point in pushing the Nazis from the east, and soon the Red Army was liberating Eastern Europe all the way to Berlin. The Cold War had begun. East Berlin and Eastern Europe, which were occupied territories by the Soviet forces, were transformed into satellite states, forming a huge wall between the Soviet Union and Stalin's former allies. As his health became worse in the early 1950s, and after an attempted assassination, Stalin's paranoia increased, even to the doctors looking after him. Stalin died of a stroke on March 5, 1953. At his funeral, a huge crowd gathered to pay their respects, and 500 people were crushed as a result of people surging forward. After a power struggle over who would be the next leader of the Soviet Union from Stalin's circle, Nikita Khrushchev succeeded Stalin, and this was the end of the most famous tyrants in history.